My mama died. Vince was like, look, man, I know you're a mama's boy. Get out of here.
Mark Henry just said something that is going to have the IWC absolutely divided. And honestly, I can't blame him. Because here's the thing, this ain't going to be some random internet mark defending Vince McMahon. This is the world's strongest man, a guy who spent decades inside the locker room, a guy who knows this man, not from what we read on the internet or in headlines, newspapers, or even Twitter, but from actually living in that world, living in that wrestling community in WWE. So before you click off this video, hear me out, because what Mark Henry said, it's more complicated than you think. And we're going to take a look in the Nails Nose podcast, what he has to say about Vince McMahon. So let's take a look. So Mark Henry was at the podcast discussing a various subtopics, and one topic that came up was his relationship with Vince McMahon, and he summarized it with one key memory in his career when dealing with him. So let's take a look.
My mama died. Vince was like, look, man, I know you're a mama's boy. Get out of here.
Okay.
Come back when you're ready. I was out a year. He paid me every day, every week. Never questioned nothing like you at home milking it or none
Huh.
of that. Like, you come back when you're good.
Okay.
So people can say whatever they want to about him.
Mm.
You know, he's flawed like every other man on earth. And when I say man, I mean one man too. We all flawed. We all gonna fall short of being Christ. But the one thing that I know for a fact is I'm gonna judge you how you treat me.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. Okay. I mean, let's get to this. So when he's talking about when he was out, this was back in 2014. His mother passed away. He asked for some time off, and as you know, he said, Vince told him, I know you're a mama's boy, so far, get out of here and come back when you're ready. And he took almost a year off, or a full year, according to Mark Henry. Vince paid him a week, that whole time off. I mean, at that time, Mark Henry was very big. He was the world's strongest man. He was one of the most dangerous heels out there. He was very committed to the company. So I guess with the way he was very into the business, you would Vincent respectful, and he did what he had to do. I want you to sit with that for a second. Vince McMahon, as you can see, looked at Mark Henry, a man who just lost his mother, and said, get out of here, come back when you're ready, and paid him. Like, it's crazy. And not many people are privileged in that, with that in the wrestling business. Mark Henry, luckily, was one of them. He paid him every week for a year. No questions asked. He never checked up on him, as you can see. No guilt tripping, nothing. Now, people will say, like, where in the hell that version of Vince McMahon existed alongside everything else we've seen come out of about him so far? Now, that's the question we're going to answer today based on this video. Now, let's be real with each other. The Vince McMahon that Mark Henry is describing, that's a man with genuinely emotional intelligence. That's a boss who looked at his employee's humanity first. But we also know on record that Vince McMahon is facing some serious documented legal accusations. And obviously, I'm talking about the Janelle Grant civil lawsuit that's going on. We're talking about his forced resignation from TKO because of it. And obviously, it's not just WC gossip. It's all about these court docs that everyone's been showing throughout online, including the T-Drop and this channel. I mean, this is something that's real, no storyline or anything like that. So how do both of these people exist in the same human body that is Vince McMahon? And I'm going to give you my take. And I know all of you are going to push back on this in the comments. Power doesn't make you one thing. It amplifies it. It amplifies what you already are. The guy who showed compassion to Mark Henry after his mom died, that's real. The allegations in these Janelle Grant lawsuits, also real. Mark Henry said it himself about Vince. He's a flawed man like every other man. He just didn't say how flawed, though. That's one thing Mark Henry didn't do. And is where the conversation gets real. Now look, the IWC is going to do what the IWC always does. They're going to split into these two camps. And what I mean about that, we're going to have one camp where it's Mark Henry's just protecting his spot. Of course, he's going to defend Vince. Vince wrote his checks. And then there's going to be the other camp. Well, see, Vince wasn't that bad. People are overreacting. And both of these takes miss the point. They miss the point. Mark Henry isn't saying Vince is innocent of everything. He's not a defense attorney. I don't see Mark Henry as a defense attorney. I hope you don't either. He's saying, and I'm quoting directly from this video, I'm gonna judge you how you treat me. And that to him and to most people, that's somewhat of a personal code. A man operating from his own experience. You can respect that and still hold space for what other people experience. These things are not mutually exclusive. The mark in me, the wrestling mark in me, wants to take sides. The analytical side of me says this is what accountability actually looks like in a complicated story. One man's truth doesn't erase another man's truth. So is Mark Henry right? Yeah, on his terms, absolutely. He experienced what he experienced. Nobody gets to tell Mark Henry that Vince wasn't good to him. That happened. That was real to him, and frankly, that kind of loyalty from a boss, especially in an industry as cutthroat as pro wrestling, is freaking rare. But here's the full picture the moment we start using one person's positive experience to dismiss the broader allegations at hand. That's when we go from judging how you treat me to defending what can't be defended. Mark Henry didn't do that in this video. He was careful. He acknowledged the flaws. The question is, will his audience be as careful after this video? So I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments, do you think personal loyalty to Vince McMahon is still valid in 2026, or does everything that's come out override those personal testimonials every wrestler you see doing so far? Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know your hot take. I will read every one of them. Like the video and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out. Thanks for watching.